that was saying I would like to invite you to close your eyes and make a moment of silence and gratitude to the Great Spirit, allowing us to fully inhabit the space, to be present here and now, as a way of connecting with one another in spite of the physical distances. So just some short moments. Before I start presenting on Virgo, I feel compelled to make the disclaimer that I'm not anything closer to an astrology expert or anything like that, but I'm just a student of theosophy and a learner on the path. However, I have always felt fascination for the intricacies of astrology and the zodiac, the symbolism which is proper to it, and the possibilities of a practical application of the astrological insights to the daily life. That is why when Jonathan asked me to present on this topic after some hesitation, I accepted, seeing it as a challenge and an opportunity of learning. And I felt very motivated to explore the possibility of Virgo as a manifestation of the dynamic consciousness of the divine will, as he put on his email. And I really believe that the study of any science from the esoteric point of view has the big purpose to trigger in us possibilities of reflection insofar as all esoteric study reveals possibilities of understanding of our human journey from the point of view of the universal and immanent. So in that spirit, I will focus on certain aspects of the archetype Virgo, since zodiac signs can be viewed as archetypes because they represent universal patterns of human behavior, psychological traits, and spiritual lessons that resonate across cultures and time. They help us understand the deeper layers of personality, our inherent drives, and the cyclical nature of life's challenges and growth. They offer a symbolic framework that provides insight into our own nature and the collective human experience, pointing a path to self-awareness and transformation. So each sign embodies a distinct energy or force that reflects different aspects of the existence. And before going deeper into the archetype of Virgo, I would like to share some insights about astrology and the zodiac from the theosophical and esoteric point of view that were very useful for me at the moment of studying this subject. Using for that not only some personal insights, but I also use for all these research texts, of course, by Ellen Balbour, HPV, James David, among others. So I'm going to begin to share my screen now. Astrology, as we know, is the study of how movements of stars and planets influence human life from birth to death. And it is considered the oldest science from which other science, including astronomy, evolved. It is applied to horoscopes using astronomical calculations and data gathered over time, making it an empirical and mathematically based science. And HPV, in her collected writings, tells us the following. She says, astronomy and astrology are twin sisters that were equally respected and studied in antiquity. It is but yesterday that the dogmatic arrogance of Western astronomers reduced the elder sister to the position of the Cinderella in the household of science. Modern astronomy profits by the worst of ancient astrology and keeps it out of sight. So astrology has remained a fixture in contemporary culture, despite the tension between its acceptance and skepticism. And this tension often framed as science is often framed as science versus superstition. And it has ancient roots dating back to the Hellenistic times and has existed within the church history as well. Modern culture, while deeply science-oriented, continues to see astrology persist. And I wonder why it's that astrology endures and has still relevance along with the time. And maybe it can be explained by some facts, such as the fact that it is a science of a big complexity and symbolism. It's more than charts or making prediction. It's a science based on symbols, interrelationships, and principles drawn from observation and experience. As HPV explained, these symbols reveal profound spiritual truths. And when studied deeply, astrology offers insight into the larger purpose of life. Another reason can be due to the intelligibility of the nature of the astrology. So it shares with science the belief that the universe is governed by discoverable laws. And it views nature as not only intelligible, but intelligent, connecting human life to the cosmos. It aligns with the Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, which emphasizes the correspondence between the microcosm, the individuals, the human beings, and the macrocosm, the universe. Another reason is because astrology takes many forms, much like different kinds of maps used to understand various aspects of a region. And this form helps explore different dimensions of life, whether personal or spiritual. It has had along the history, multiple purposes. Has been used to understand cosmic forces, guide personal growth, and predict future conditions. However, its most profound use is in exploring spiritual growth, self-awareness, and humanity's place in the evolving cosmos. And another reason, of course, these are 5 reasons that I gather, but of course, there may be more. And its presence in many different cultures as a part of ancient tradition is also one of the reasons. We can see it in the Babylonian, Egyptian, Greek, and Roman, Indian, Mayan, Chinese, Persian, Islamic, Tibetan, Native American, etc., etc. And in each has unique interpretations and influences. Esoteric astrology deals with the evolution of the soul and with the whole spectrum of personality limitation which obstruct enlightenment. It differs from traditional or exoteric astrology by emphasizing the soul's purpose rather than mundane aspects of life. And it is particularly useful for those consciously living a spiritual life. And therefore, it is concerned with the dissolution of limitations and evocation of spiritual will, the expansion of consciousness and the wise expression of love, the creative use of the higher mind, the resolution of conflict and ugliness into harmony and beauty, the right use of the lower mind leading to the freedom from illusion, leading to that contact with the higher mind, the purification of the emotion and devotion to truth, the application of the knowledge for unifying the soul and the personality. So it helps us in this path of evolution that leads us to the to reaching the source from that is our real origin. Theosophy teaches that all forms of life are manifestations of the one life, as stated by the first proposition of the secret doctrine. There is one omnipresent, eternal, boundless, and immutable principle, Parabrahman, on which all speculation is impossible since it transcends the power of human conception. And this absolute reality is beyond human comprehension, and everything in the universe is interconnected, emanating from this single source. That one life differentiates into 7 distinct streams of rays, each one with unique and unchanging characteristics. And these rays are found in all beings who are classified according to these types. Similar how two astrologers associate individuals with planets. So I'm not going to go deep on this. I just wanted to mention, and the 7 rays are foundational streams of energy that influence all creation, as described in the ancient wisdom. And these energies, known as the 7 rays, flow into our solar system and condition life on Earth, each embodying distinct spiritual qualities. So here we can see that each ray has a quality, and it's linked to a planet and linked to 3 zodiac signs. So we will see that there are characteristics will be maybe more predominant in certain of the astrological signs. So each race expresses itself through specific zodiac signs influencing the spiritual growth. And this esoteric astrology emphasizes this when interpreting natal charts, particularly in relation to the ascendant and sun signs, as they reveal the higher qualities that a person seeks to express. The framework of astrology, offering a symbolic map of how cosmic energies interact with human experience. While astrology, as a bigger science, includes planetary movements, aspects, houses, the zodiac, as a foundational framework of astrology, serves as its core structure, dividing the sky into 12 signs that represent archetypal patterns. And these signs help interpret personal traits, behaviors, life events, and provide a guideway to deeper spiritual insights. We could say that the zodiac functions as a cosmic guide, as a kind of cosmic user's manual, to say something that reveals a symbolic language to understand the universe divine order. And we have mentioned here the 7, the hierarchy of creative powers divided into 7, that is 4 plus 3, from the esoteric point of view, within the 12 great orders that are the signs of the zodiac. And 12 is 3 times 4. So the 3 and the 4 are there involved always in the symbology. The 7 of the manifesting scale being connected, moreover, with the 7 planets. This is something that, an insight that HPP shares in the secret doctrine regarding this hierarchy of creative powers that is linked to the zodiac, the 7 planets, the 12 signs, the 7 rays. On a broader level, the zodiac reflects humanity's collective evolution through astrological ages that represent shifts in the collective consciousness. And currently, as humanity moves through larger cycles of divine expression, as stated in the second fundamental proposition of the secret doctrine, that it's related to the law of periodicity. The universe operates in cycles of manifestations and rest. This is a paraphrasis of the proposition. And this cyclical nature applies to all things from the cosmos, to, meaning the creation and destructions of universes, to human life, meaning the birth, the death, the rebirth. It reflects the rhythm of existence governed by these cycles of time, influencing the whole process of evolution. For example, the age of Pisces focused on faith and spiritual devotion, while the age of Aquarius highlights collective consciousness, knowledge, and technological advancement. And it is seen as heralding a new era of spiritual awakening where humanity will align more consciously with the dynamic forces of the divine will. And that makes very, very relevant this kind of study in our current times, the study of the zodiac and the astrology, from the esoteric point of view, of course. So while astrology delves into all celestial movements, the zodiac is what makes these energies digestible and relevant to our everyday lives. Hence, the value that the study of this series that this group is making of the zodiac, because it tells us something that we can apply in our present lives, in our day-to-day lives, in this incarnation. And in this sense, we can see the interaction between the divine will, as the greater cosmos, and the human free will. Let's continue with a nice quote that I found from Helen Baldor in an article called The Clock that say that humans are sevenfold potential gods who must progress around the 12 signs of the celestial clock until they have mastered the forces of each one of them in their own nature. In another article of Professor Baldor in the Zodiac, she suggests that the signs of the zodiac symbolize stages in evolutionary cycles which have been interpreted across various cultures. For example, in the Hindu tradition, the zodiac is linked to signs, to cosmic cycles of avatars, while Jewish and Buddhist teachings also find symbolic meanings in the signs. So Professor Baldor explains how the 12 zodiac signs, for instance, correspond with the 12 causes of existence, called the Nidanas, in the Buddhist thought. So 12 Nidanas of the Buddhist philosophy and the 12 zodiac signs in astrology represent different systems of understanding life, with one focusing on the cycle of suffering, the Buddhist, and the other on human personality and cosmic energies in the case of the zodiac. However, if we attempt to draw symbolic correspondences between the two, we could find parallels based on their themes. And here is just a possible alignment where avidya, ignorance, is related to Aries, representing the beginning of a new cycle and the impulsiveness or lack of awareness that come with it. Samskara, the karmic formations, will be parallel to Taurus, that is grounded in material desires and stability, symbolizing the karma created by actions driven by ignorance. Vijnana, the consciousness, will be linked to Gemini, representing duality and communication. Namarupa, name and form, will be aligned to Cancer, who governs the emotions and the sense of identity linked to form and personal experience, reflecting the mind-body connection. Sadayatana, the sixth sense basis, will be linked to Leo's emphasis on self-expression. Sparsha, contact, will be linked with Virgo, the sign that we will go deeper later in a few minutes, with its focus on analysis, discernment, representing the critical stage of contact between the senses and the objects. Vedana, sensation, will be related to Libra, the sign of balance and relationships. Tana, craving, linked to Scorpio's intensity, desire, and attachment to transformation, aligned with the craving that drives attachment to experiences and sensations. Upadana, clinging, is linked to Sagittarius, associated with seeking and expansion. Bhava, becoming is linked to Capricorn's discipline, goal-oriented nature that reflects the process of becoming. Yati, birth, will be linked to Aquarius, a sign of innovation and new beginnings. And Yarmarana, aging and death, will be the end of the wheel, linked to Pisces and associated with dissolution, spiritual transcendence, and the inevitable conclusion of the cycle of existence. So we see that also from Aries to Pisces, there is a whole analogy of the cycle of the existence from the beginning till the end. And these correspondences, of course, are symbolic and reflect how both systems describe life's cyclical nature. As we said, one through karma and suffering, the other through cosmic influence and personality traits. So now let us delve into Virgo, that has always been associated with the divine consciousness of the divine will, as expressed by this quote of Hermes magazine. There is an article by Professor Helen Malborg that's called Virgo, where she draws upon numerous mythological and spiritual traditions to explore the archetypal figure of the Virgin represented by Virgo. We will see some of them as well as other aspects related to these archetypes in different realms. And I will want to begin sharing some generalities to give some grounding about the basic aspects associated with Virgo. For instance, the glyph, that is like an M shape, and the M represents the intestines of the digestive system, aligning with Virgo's rulership over health, cleanliness, and practical efficiency. And the closed loop on the glyph reflects Virgo's introverted nature, self-containment, and focus on detail. Virgo is said to be a feminine or nocturnal sign, which means symbolically it embodies qualities traditionally associated with femininity, such as intuition, sensitivity, and nurturing. And Virgo's energy are more potent during the night, often associated with introspection, focus on inner thoughts, introversions, feelings. It is said to be an earth sign. So the 12 signs of the zodiac are divided in different elements: fire, air, water, and earth. And Virgo is one of the 3 earth signs, along with Capricorn and Taurus. Therefore, it embodies practicality, meticulousness, and a strong connection with the physical world. Virgos are reliable and grounded, valuing stability and order, and it is also associated with a desire of self, often seeking to refine their skill and knowledge. Virgo is a mutable earth. Cardinal signs, mutable signs, and fixed signs. I'm sure if that is the exact word in English. But this is one of the 3 mutable signs. And it represents, of the 4 mutable signs, and it represents the transition from potential to manifestation. That is when it is mutable. And find and purifying the matter to align with the divine plan. Virgos as an archetype focus on service, order, healing, symbolizing the soul's dedication to perfecting life in accordance with a higher spiritual purpose. And this process mirrors the dynamic interaction between spirit, linked to the divine will, and matter, linked to the human experience, where Virgo helps to integrate and manifest higher consciousness into the physical world, transforming it in the process. The planet that is associated with Virgo is Mercury, that represents communication, intellect, and analytical thinking. It governs how we process information, express ourselves, and engage in logical reasoning. And this is the second Mercury ruled sign. The other one is Gemini, that is an air sign, and it is a diurnal sign that tends to be more extroverted. So we see how Gemini and Virgo, they represent two aspects of Mercury due to their own nature. But when we get to Virgo, we have this different side of Mercury that is more effective, say so. Virgo is one of the 12 constellations of the zodiac, and it is the second largest constellation in the sky, and it is represented by the figure of a maiden. It is visible in the springtime in the northern hemisphere, and in autumn in the southern hemisphere. And these are the key stars that are part of the constellations. The Spica, or Alpha Virginis, that is the brightest star in Virgo. That's why it's associated with the Virgin. One of the 20 brightest stars in the night sky. Savyava, Beta Virgins, another prominent star. Purima, Gamma Virgins, a binary star system with two nearly identical stars orbiting each other, and with the Beatrix, Epsilon Virginis, which marks the arm of the maiden, and it is a yellow giant star. So the maiden that is associated with Virgo, the archetype of Virgo, symbolizes purity, innocence, and a nurturing spirit, often seen wholly lit, which represents fertility, harvest, and the ability to nurture and provide sustenance, reflecting Virgo's association with hard work, service, and care for others. Virgo's symbol as the Virgin or Maiden also represents purity of purpose, intellect, and a strong desire for order and perfection. Even though the word Virgo specifically is associated with the Roman mythology, we find representations and equivalents of the archetype that it represents in different traditions. So I want to share some of them with you very quickly to get a little more of context of how this is really a universal archetype that is present across time, culture. So, for instance, in the Greek and Roman traditions, Virgo is symbolically linked to the goddess of agriculture, Demeter in Greek, or Ceres in Roman, who represents the earth's fertility and the cycle of life, death, and renewal. Spiritually, Virgo embodies purity, justice, and nurturing qualities, reflecting the connection between the earth's abundance and the human's soul's growth, as well as humanity's link to the divine order of nature and the cosmos. In the Egyptian tradition, in the Book of the Gates, Virgo is linked to Osiris, that is the god of the underworld, the resurrection, and judgment. And it holds a deep symbolic connection to the afterlife and the judgment of the souls, emphasizing the transition from material existence to spiritual ascension when the soul's moral integrity is evaluated. So just as Virgo in astrology is associated with discernment, meticulous attention to detail, and purity, in the Egyptian mythology, the soul is carefully examined and weighted to determine its worthiness for the afterlife. Virgo's link to Osiris also reflects the ability to transcend lower passions and desires, as the soul must be free from impurity to pass Osiris' judgment. In Hindu tradition, Virgo is associated with the astrological sign Kanya Rashi, which represents a young maiden or virgin ruled by the planet Mercury, or also as Virgo in the astrology, that is called Bud, which makes me think of the aspect of Bud in intuition also in this archetype Virgo. And it governs intellect, as related to that virtue, communication, Mercury, and analytical thinking. From a spiritual perspective, Virgo Kanya Rashi, the aspect of Kanya Rashi in Hindu tradition, symbolizes purity, self-discipline, devotion to a higher purpose. As you can see, there are recurrent words like purity, discipline, fertility, etc., that come in all these traditions that build the archetype of Virgo. So, in this, we are now talking in the Hindu tradition. It represents the idea of selfless service, seva, where individuals channel their intellect and energy toward helping others and refining their spiritual journey. The sign encourages practitioners to purify their thoughts and actions, aligning their lives with the spiritual ideas of simplicity, order, and ultimately aiming for moksha or liberation. In the Chinese astrology, Virgo doesn't directly align with the Chinese zodiac animal. We cannot make like an exact parallel, but its traits are reflected in Chinese cosmology as well. So Virgo's qualities resonate with the earth, and in the zodiac is also an earth sign. And its inward reflective nature aligns with the yin aspect, which is quiet and contemplative. And also, this meticulousness of Virgo echoes Confucian ideals of personal refinement and self-discipline. And also, it's linked with the spleen, which plays a key role in digestion and energy distribution. So we see all the parallels in this case with the glyph of Virgo that represents the digestive system. In the Christian tradition, Virgo is closely linked to the symbolism of the Virgin Mary, seen as symbol of purity, obedience of God's will, and care and spiritual grace. And it is emphasized the selflessness and the desire to serve God. Also, the purity, that which is not only physical but spiritual also within the Christian tradition. In the Middle Eastern traditions, it is particularly within the context of ancient astrology practice in Mesopotamia. And it's linked with the goddess Shala, the deity of fertility and the harvest. In the Islamic tradition, while astrology is generally viewed with caution due to the religious teachings on predestinations and reliance on God's will, the characteristics of Virgo can be spiritually aligned with the Islamic virtues of humility, service, and discipline, purification of the soul, and alignment with the will, God's will, like a little bit. We were mentioning the same in the Christian tradition, and also this purity that is very valued in the Islamic tradition. In the Buddhist tradition, Virgo's analytical nature aligns with the Buddhist concept of mindfulness, sati, where tradition to detail and awareness are crucial for spiritual growth. And it also relates to sparsa or contact, as we saw when we were talking about these correspondences mentioned by Professor Valborg, and symbolizing the soul's interaction with the material world through senses and emotions. Represents the link between the immortal soul and the astral body, emphasizing its connection to the digestive system and the transmission of vital energies to the lower realm. And other symbolism of Virgo that I have found, and I thought it could be interesting to share. I was reflecting on Virgo one day, and suddenly these Tama Sattva Rajas came to my mind. So I was wondering, how can they be related? Maybe there is a relation with the gunas mentioned by the Vedic philosophy. Tamas being inertia, Rajas activity, and Sattva harmony. And these are qualities that influence the mind and the behavior, while the Virgo zodiac sign that is ruled by Mercury is associated with practicality, organization, and analytical thinking. So Virgo's traits as an archetype align most closely with the Sattva guna, representing purity, clarity, and balance approach to life. However, like all signs, Virgo can embody aspects of the other gunas. Like Rajas in Virgo will be represented by the meticulous and hardworking nature, and Tamas when its critical tendencies led to overthinking or stagnation. So this dynamic shows the interplay of all three energies within the Virgo archetype. Another relationship that I wanted to explore was the relationship with the skandhas of the five aggregates of human existence: form, sensation, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. And the insight, or my insight, is that Virgo as an archetype, or the qualities of the archetype Virgo, work to purify these aspects by refining the mind and emotions and aligning the physical body with higher ideas, leading to greater self-awareness and mastery over the attachments that bind us to the cycle of karma. In esoteric astrology, Virgo is linked with the divine feminine, embodying the principle of receptivity and gestation. It doesn't initiate action on its own, but aligns itself with a higher will, allowing the divine forces to act through it, which also reminds us the surrender of Virgin Mary to the God's will. And it represents also as the divine feminine, nurturing, wisdom, and cosmic love, qualities that resonate strongly with this essence of Virgo. Let us remember so these are basically some of the other symbolism that I found. Of course, as we go deeper and the more we can link it to different tradition in our own inner study, we will find a lot more interconnections, but these are the ones that I wanted to share with you today. And now continuing with the Virgo, let us remember with Professor Balborg that the zodiac acts as a profound symbol of the soul's journey through the universe, offering clues to understanding the evolution of life and its eventual return to the divine source. And this is reflected in ancient teachings like the Orphic mysteries, where the soul strives to transcend earthly existence and drink from the waters of the supernal cup for release from the cycle of reincarnation. And this is in immediate relation with the third proposition of the secret doctrine that states the evolution of consciousness. So all souls, monads, and I'm paraphrasing the in the scheme, but what I'm saying is the paraphrasing. All souls monads are on a spiritual journey of evolution, moving through various stages of life and existence. And this includes reincarnation, where the soul learns and evolves through experiences in different lifetimes, ultimately leading to greater spiritual awareness and unity within the divine. The signs are divided into two sets of 6. The first relates to personality. The first 6 relates to personality and materialization, while the second set connects with individuality and refinement. Virgo is the 6th in order, starting from the first at the vernal equinox, which is Aries. So this is essentially marking almost the halfway point of the zodiac, Virgo here. As I mentioned, these 6 signs are related to the personality and materialization. And Virgo is associated with the element of earth. And this is a very critical point in the zodiac, Virgo here. Because there is this final descent of the spirit into matter before getting into the balance point, which will be here, and to begin with the other 6 of the signs of the zodiac that are related to the individuality and refinement. So Virgo is if we see it from the point of view of the evolution, it's in a critical point where the descent is coming to an end and the ascent is about to begin. And while I was making a mental image of this like division of the zodiac wheel into two sets of six, one representing the descent and another the ascent, and also with that analogy that we did with the Buddhism. The following image came to my mind as a form of representing the soul's journey from the moment it abandons the house of the father. So that star there represents this outline, this house of the father. And in this process, the soul in the journey of the soul, from the moment it abandons the house of the father, the soul passes through all the process of evolution to join with the divine source that is called involution and then evolution. And in the process pointed by the black arrow is this process of involvement of the densification of the matter, say in a way. So when I was thinking of that, to passes to all this process to join the divine source, I was thinking that we can relate it to the image of Pravitri and Navritri Marg, where Pravitri Marg is the path of worldly engagement, action, and fulfilling one's duties in society. It emphasizes in living in the world, pursuing desires, relationships, and responsibilities while maintaining moral and ethical standards. In contrast, Nivriti Marg is the path of renunciation and withdrawal from world pursuits, focusing on inner contemplation, sacralization, and liberation, moksha. So while Pravritri Marga encourages outward involvement in life, Nivriti leads to inward detachment and spiritual ascension. Together, they represent the balance between worldly issues and spiritual evolution. This process of refinement and transformation represents the soul journey in Virgo, where the divine consciousness works through matter to raise it to its highest potential. Virgo's focus on the practical and mundane, the body, the health, the daily routines, the harvest, the earth, is also symbolic of the larger spiritual principle at play. That spiritual enlightenment is not about rejecting the material world, but about perfecting and integrating it in this journey of evolution. And by its position in the zodiac wheel, here we were pointing, sorry. It is approaching to the conversion point here. About the Parvati market, the Navritri market, it say that there is a moment in which something comes to the soul that is like a conversion point. So the position of Virgo is positioned in the conversion point where the fulfillment of the Dharma and the growth by giving will lead the will upwards. So being the last of the six first signs and opening the doors for what is to come in that wheel of evolution. Virgo represents its relation to the manifestation of the divine will and the fulfillment of the plan of evolution. So the divine consciousness is working through Virgo in this expression of this divine will in order to trigger this next step into the evolution. We see it as this image using the zodiac wheel. So HPV teaches that the soul's journey connects with the cosmic and planetary forces. She says that the planetary origin of the monad soul and its faculties was taught by the Gnostics. On its way back to the earth, each soul is born and each soul is born in and from the boundless light and had to pass through the 7 planetary regions both ways. The wheel, with its 12 astrological signs, represents the cyclical journey of human evolution, turning inward, and evolution, personal growth, and spiritual ascent. Starting with Aries, the sign of individuality and action, the wheel moves through a stage of self-awareness, connection with others, emotional growth, and mastery of worldly and spiritual challenges. Each sign contributes as a key with a key lesson from the ground, the materialism of Taurus, to the transformative power of Scorpio, until the universal compassion of Pisces. And this path symbolizes the soul's journey through life's experiences, evolving towards the greater self-realization and unity with the cosmos. This also reminds us something that Valbor said on Virgo, on Virgo symbolism, Greek tradition, when in the Golden Age, Astrea departs, Astrea, that is the starry virgin, departs, being the last goddess to leave Earth as human decline from virtue, symbolizing the loss of spiritual purity and the connection between humanity and the divine. So her departure marks the fall of the soul from its divine origins into the material world. So again, this left arrow that we were seeing in black in the image. So this departure of Astrea signifies this fall of the spirit into dense matter, and it brings us a little bit this sense of the paradox of Virgo, of Virgo's ability to remain pure while being fertile. And it means like that of Persephone or Ishtar, the Virgin's descent into the underworld represents the soul journey through the trials of the material world, with her eventual return to symbolizing a spiritual resurrection and growth. So I will stop sharing the screen, and just to conclude, Virgo as an archetype represents the purity and fertility of the soul's journey through the material world, symbolizing the bridge between the divine and earthly realms near to that point of conversion. And the connection to the dynamic consciousness of the divine will lies in its role as a vessel of purity, where Virgo channels divine energy into the world, guiding the transformation of matter for a higher cosmic purpose associated with service, guiding the soul in becoming an instrument of the divine will to harmonize the spirit and matter, emphasizing self-improvement, healing, and spiritual growth. The karma of the Virgo archetype revolves around the pursuit of self-improvement, service, inner purification. Its mission is to bring order, healing, and care into the world through a dedicated focus on the practical aspects of life while striving for spiritual growth. In Theosophy, Virgo represents, or the archetype of Virgo will represent a journey through the 7 planes of nature, helping individuals progress from physical health to spiritual enlightenment, embodying humility, discipline, and selfless service across all levels of consciousness. So at the beginning, I told you that this was a very good opportunity for me to learn about a subject that I was not so familiar with. And this reflection on Virgo's archetype actually has offered me a profound opportunity for self-reflection. Through studying this archetype, I gained a deeper insight in how it embodies the balance between practicality and spirituality, emphasizing the importance of staying grounded while pursuing a spiritual journey. So hence the application in the daily life of the study of esoteric astrology in general, but in this case in particular with Virgo. And this connection of Virgo with nature and healing resonated deeply with me, highlighting how we can integrate these qualities, or I personally can integrate them in my daily life, helping me see Virgo not merely as a zodiac sign, but as a powerful guide for cultivating mindfulness, service, inner balance, and as a powerful tool to see this divine will in present in everyday's journey. And I really hope that the insights that I shared here continue to linger in our minds, helping us moving closer to the ideal of divine perfection, which embraces the essence of all archetypes. Again, I thank you for this opportunity. I will be delighted to receive your comments and contributions so that together, as I told you, I'm not expert, so I wish that together we can build new steps of wisdom that will guide us towards that improvement as human beings in constant evolution and transformation that is dynamic in every single detail, moment, and action of our daily life. So that's basically what I wanted to share today with you regarding this archetype of Virgo. And well, thanks again. And take the lead.
Thank you, Catalina. That was very insightful. You certainly brought in so many dimensions of it, and the lovely connection that you make of how each design is viewed by different traditions and religions. It was very beautiful. I love it. And for not being an expert, you did a great job. I don't see hands yet, but I'm pretty sure I will soon. But I have a question myself. You mentioned the connection with the yin and Virgo, her connection with Earth. Would you say that she represents also the Sakti energy and the six forces of nature?
Yes, yes.
Did you? Should I repeat it? Do you think that she have Virgo have the Sakti connection, the Sakti energy, and then the six forces, the primary six forces of nature? It seems from what you said that there is a connection. They are very strong.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that I was reflecting upon, maybe because during the days that I was preparing the lecture, I was also reflecting upon those subjects. So inevitably, when you are like researching on one thing and on the other, you tend to make mental links. So I was reflecting upon that, and then I was like doing an exercise, daily exercise while preparing this talk on see how all the archetypes or the characteristics of this archetype could be related to different things. Because actually, I was like wonder of seeing how maybe due to the deep the study that was going on in my mind, I was like amazed how many of these characteristics were related to everyday things and to when I observe the nature. So I guess that happens a little bit to me when I am in a subject. I tend to relate it with so many things. So I was asking myself, okay, how can we relate the archetype of Virgo with these gunas? So since Tamas is more linked to inertia, initially I thought, okay, maybe the earth element make it more linked to that inertia. But maybe that will apply more for Taurus. Then I was thinking on Rajas, that is more active, and of course there is an activity linked to Virgo, because it's the archetype shows that it's a hardworking kind of archetype. Since so many times I was reading on this this representation of the purity, this balancing and trying to join fine, etc. So I thought maybe it kind of have a sattvic nature also because it serves the harmony at some way. So that's why this idea came to my mind. But this is just some personal interpretation, of course, of my insight. This is not, I didn't read this in any place. I mean, I cannot say it's completely like that. That was my personal interpretation of something that was going on my mind during the days of the study, of the preparation of this talk. But of course, I guess these three gunas can be, there are different moments and there are different kind of states that make that one of the other manifests more. But that is the way I saw it. And yes, I guess that's the thing. I don't know if that was your answer or your question.
No. Very, very insightful because Subaru talks about that and the combination spirit and matter and, the balancing. And Virgo was also connected with Scorpio at some time too. And as you say at the beginning of the talk, it was eliminated and they just leave it Virgo, but there's a connection there with Scorpio as well. So that makes it that spirit and matter that that kind of balance. Jonathan have a question.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Catalina, that was just beautiful. Thank you so much. I just kept thinking, wow, she did it again. Pretty amazing. But I had a question. Some of the things that you were talking about maybe kind of sparked my imagination. And first of all, I was thinking that, do you find that in theosophy that descent and ascent are not really opposites? They're just part of a cycle, and that the descent isn't bad, okay? And contact is not bad. And I think there's something noble about going out and making contact. And it's risky. You can get your hands dirty, but there's something sacrificial about it, it seems like. And another thing that occurred to me is that when you're talking about order and seva, I was thinking, if you really want to help somebody, you help them get organized, right? And, because that's like the main thing that's making them paralyzed, maybe, So you go in there and you help them, and now some people don't want to get organized, that's fine. But other people respond to it, and to help a person have structure, it does seem to be very healing, and it does seem to be a form of seva, really, to actually help. The first thing to do if you're going to set up a new enterprise, if you're going to start anything, the first thing is to kind of get organized, and then it seems to allow the higher forces, the higher will, to manifest when things are organized. When the house is clean or whatever it is. Anyway, I guess that's a comment. I don't even know what that was. But do you have any further thoughts on that?
Thank you. I agree with you in the part of the order, totally. And also when you were referring to this descending and ascending. Yeah, actually, probability, that is the descending. It's, both paths, probability and ability, are part of different kind of paths of evolution. So one is more related to the other part of the worldly engagement. So it's more related maybe to karma yoga, to the action in the daily life. And then Navritri is more like a path of evolution of renunciation and withdrawal from goal pursuit. So it's more related to the part of oh my God, now the word has gone from my mind, the devotion or other. So yes, as you say, there is no one that is better than the other, but they help us also to understand different kind of symbolism. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say about this descendant or ascendant, and totally agree with the order that you mentioned. Yeah.
Thank you very
The
much.
ground, that's why the grounding part, no? It's like this archetype gives us a sense of grounding also due to that. Thank you. Nice. Nice
Because
comment.
these things,
Thank you,
Sorry?
Jenna and Catalina. Any other questions? If you don't have any questions, I would like to ask another question. You were talking about the
Yes,
order of service and purpose, and how this sign is connected with that, vibrations.
The service and purpose.
Yeah, service and purpose.
Yes.
On purity, mention it. You also mentioned purity.
Mention what? Sorry, I didn't understand the last word. So
Purity,
I guess my connection.
Yeah,
Purity. Okay.
yeah, purity. You mentioned service, purpose. That how this sign pushes to do that, even if we are not under, if we don't fall under that sign.
Yes. Yes, I mean, like we saw, I mean, in I saw this recurrence of the service, the selfless service, and what was the other one that you mentioned? The purity in the different, I mean, and while I was reading on the different traditions, I could this was like a recurrent item that came in almost all of them. How these characteristics of Virgo as linked to the earth and the cycles of life and renewal and nurturing and justice, like also related to the Virgin Mary, the divine feminine has this thing of the purity very strong service as it serves of the channel of this divine will to kind of materialize those characteristics. So yeah, that's I guess it was some recurrent thing through all the research I found. And I don't know, I mean, I don't know if you wanted me to elaborate more on that. I'm not sure if I understood what was exactly the question.
No, it's okay. No, you cover different aspects because it's a very broad question.
Yeah. And it's a recurring thing during I mean, in the different traditions, like the purity aspects it's seen in the Islamic tradition, it's seen in the esoteric astrology related to the divine feminine and the Virgin Mary. And also it's not, I see it not only as the purity represented in this archetype, but the possibility of purification within us also. I mean, there are these two dimensions of the purity. And I guess with what Jonathan was also saying of the order related to Seva, that is also a kind of service characteristic. It also is linked to this aspect of the service that you were mentioning, to the way that I see this service or kind of related to the dharma of the mission of the Virgo archetype is that it gives some grounding and it helps to this link between the immortal soul and the astral body and the lower planes to the higher planes. So I see it that way. But of course, as I have mentioned, these are my personal interpretation based on what I have studied, on the insights that I have had. That is what it resonates with me. And I guess one of the wonderful things of the study from the esoteric point of view of any science or any archetype is how we can really relate it to our own experience, to our own questions, to our own reality, and from them we can go on making a lot of inspiring and useful insights. So maybe this resonated a lot, service, the purity, with my personal interest, my personal journey. But of course, it's not that anything can be interpreted also. I mean, it's not like it's an arbitrary interpretation, of course, because we have an art in the study, of course, but maybe some things resonate more with some people or other people depending on the nature. I mean, it's wonderful how this study is very rich and enriching to the person that studies, and I that's why I am very thankful with Jonathan for motivating me to present on this subject. And study more and learn a lot of things that I didn't know before I went into it.
Thank you. The more you talk, the more insightfulness come out of you, which is wonderful. I have one more question from Ken.
Yes, hello there, and thank you, Catalina, for that wonderful and humble sort of survey of how Virgo relates to different cultures. I had a question about the 7 rays. So at the beginning of your talk, you were talking about the first fundamental principle, that slide. Then after that, you had a slide about the 7 rays and the correlations of the astrological signs to different sort of qualities, where Virgo is connected to love and wisdom and compassion, then later on to devotion, idealism, and connected to different planets. I was thinking, well, how is Virgo connected to Jupiter and the Sun, and then Mars and Neptune? It's like, wait a minute, that seems different than like in the Western astrology system for Virgo and its ruling planet. So I'm wondering, I don't understand, I'm also a humble student myself. I really don't understand the 7 rays concept that well. Could you kind of back up into that a little bit?
Yeah, I am also not an expert on the subject of 7 rays. That's why I didn't go so too much in depth. This chart that I presented was in the line of Alice Bailey's esoteric astrology. So
Okay.
of course there are different kind of classifications. This one I resonated with me specifically. So I also was wondering why if the 4th ray, that is the ray of harmony, and related to the planet of Mercury, that is the planet that is the regent planet of Virgo, then why Virgo is not there? That was a question that I made to myself as well. We are connected in that sense. And of course, when I went to as per this classification, the relation is with the 2nd ray and with the 6th ray, the 2nd being the love, wisdom, compassion, and understanding. So I saw my insight was, okay, love, wisdom. I linked it with that nurturing quality of Virgo and that relation with the divine feminine, sorry. So maybe that was the answer that I gave to myself when I had this question. That maybe that's why this characteristic is, this classification is linked to the love, wisdom kind of quality, and with the 6th ray, devotion, idealism, and aspiration. Also, a little bit what we were talking to this link between the human will, as a desire to transcend, to connect with the divine will, the divine consciousness. So that's, yeah, I make the same question, so thank you for asking it, because I can share with you the answer that I read to, but of course, it's a good question that we can reflect upon more, and maybe if someone else here has a deeper insight or a different kind of insight, or you yourself have any hypothesis of why that is that, I would be very happy to hear, because that's what I could extract from that. So yes.
Well, thank you, Catalina. I would just say immediately, the second ray in compassion, that makes a lot of sense with that gestation, fecundation, sort of creation energy of Virgo. And the sixth ray, I noticed that Pisces is there as well. And both of those were at the juncture right before a transition between material and spiritual. Virgo and Pisces kind of opposite each other. So thank you so much for that. That helps.
Thank you. I think someday we will find out why they eliminated Virgo and Scorpio, because they used to be considered as one. But once again, right? Confusing sometimes. But thank you so much. It was a treat for all of us to have you all the way from India. And I want to mention that besides being at the School of the Wisdom of Adyar, Catalina is also an educator, a translator, and an editor. And I hope we see you again in the future. Thank you for your participation, and thank you all of you. I would like to remind you that next week we're going to have the Sadadharma talk by Dr. Ken Campos, and you are very, very welcome to it. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the evening and the morning in India. So, namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Catalina. Beautiful.
Thank you.
To all of you.
Thank
For
you so
your
much.
patience and listening and openness was great. Thanks, Luca. Thank you very much for always bringing a cheerful and very warm presence.
Thank you. Namaste to all of you. Take care.
Thank you, Niluka, too.
You're very welcome. Thank you, all of you, too. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, I didn't